Alright, so this is the second video I'm doing. I'm trying to capture a little bit more of the low end of the amp. It's not a super bassy amp, but as you have probably found out when you play and you're miking with a cell phone, it's not always the best way to go about it. So I'm going to start the treble and bass. I'm going to move around to tighten it, and I'll show you what it does, the effect of it. I'm going to leave probably the treble all the way up probably the whole time. So this is slightly low now. And then the reverb works flawlessly. So let's go just about 9 o'clock. And then I'll show you the difference between the channels. So they have different tubes in it. I did that on purpose so I could have two different sounds and either switch between it or use whatever it feel like. So this is same volume, both channels. I'll turn that off. Channel 2 is slightly noisier than channel 1. There's a hum balance that may have got slightly nicked on the back, but it's pretty quiet. It's actually quieter than my what is it, 40 years newer amp to my right. So let's go slightly above 9 o'clock. Now let's go in between. So you hear that low end? Bam, gone. And you can tighten it. Oh, it's just a ground thing. The guitar. Alright, so here is what this probably took out. So I'm gonna bass. So there's a little bit of low end, but it's not like too much. It's starting to get too much at noon. So I turn it all the way up. See how it gets like that? But if you record with it, you can use it. You can use that low end. And the reason it's humming is because I'm not touching the guitar. So this guitar has a weird thing with these pickups that I haven't been able to figure out. So that all the way up, I usually roll the bass all the way off to just get a really tight sound. And you can have reverb on something that's kind of martially, which is fun. So a cool trick is you can use the tremolo intensity. Since it's not working, it obviously takes some life from the circuit, but you turn it all the way off, dampens the high end some. And it also makes the amp a little quieter. Can't complain. It's really not that loud, because you have to think, this amp is 100% up right now. Now if I roll the other channel in, there's like a noise loop thing, because they feed into each other. Now I'm going to show you channel 2. Vintage tubes. So we're going to start at about 10. Noon. So let's roll the bass down to about 3. Let's go all the way up. All the way down. So they have their own flair. So with this channel, I'm going to show you the bright. So the bright is cleaner. Let's start halfway. Ultra high off. I'm going to have the bass on. Might be a little bassy. Ultra high on. About 2.5K. Different than what you would expect on a Fender. So a little cleaner, less So that's kind of the bulk of it. You can go crazy. The reverb works on both channels. So that's pretty much a bulk of it. I have used a jumper and ran, well, not a jumper, but a dual cable, so 1/4 in, 2/4 out to run both channels and mix, and you can get more gain out of it. With the bass all the way up, it makes the amp more fuzzy. Polarity switch, since it's still 2-prong, you just want to make sure, you know, if you feel a little bit of a zing, you can actually feel it. You just flip the polarity and you're good. This has a standby, so the standby works great. And then you get it. It's all good. Well, I hope that answers that. I can't remember. Well, so gain usually starts around 9-ish. Then it's about the same until you get here. Get a little bit more. That's usually the sweet spot for me. You can go all the way up. I usually will taper the bass down. The bass doesn't really do much until you get to about there. And then it just slightly comes in, gets a little heavier once you get past 3 o'clock. The reverb, there is very, very, very little, very, very, very little, and then it comes to life on channel 1. Channel 2 comes to life around there, and then you can get, you know, way more than you need from there on both channels. The ultra highs work both perfectly. I usually use the ultra high. I like it, but if you turn the volume up a lot. You really don't need it per se unless you just want a little bit more of that present high mid range. So I hope that answers any of your questions.